As Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Let's carry that thought into our final big table of the fest, a vital conversation on creating safe spaces, mental health, inclusion, and belonging. Because purposeful education begins with emotional safety, and emotional safety begins with listening, respect, and shared humanity. This session brings together passionate educators who believe that schools should be havens of trust, empathy, and value, not just for students, but for every member of the community. Let's give a heartfelt welcome to our final big table speakers. Our host, Ms. Reema Singh, Head of School, DPS International, Gurgaon. Dr. R. Meenakshi, Director, Academic Curriculum R&D, Wales Group of Schools, Tamil Nadu. Ms. Resi Mannamplavan, Head of Cambridge Pallavi Group of Schools. Dr. Preeti Oja, Principal, Seth M.R. Jaipuria School, Bhiwadi. Mr. Pavan Vasishta, Principal, Birla Shishur Vihar. Mr. Preetam Kumar Agrawal, Founder, Hello Kids chain of preschools. Can we please give a round of applause for our speakers?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is something like the cricket grounds when you know India is going to lose or there's going to be a draw, the crowd's thin. But I've been seeing since morning how the chairs are getting empty, but nevertheless, we are still motivated and we are still here. So welcome to the final big table. I'm Reema Singh, your host for the session. I'm currently heading an IB Continuum school in Gurgaon, and it's an honor to guide today's conversation. This session focuses on a theme that lies at the very heart of meaningful education: creating safe spaces with mental health, inclusion, and belonging. These aren't just buzzwords. They are cornerstones of thriving school communities, and their significance has only increased in the recent years. Let me begin with a simple question, which we seldom ask out aloud. When was the last time you really felt safe, not physically, but also emotionally, at your workplace? So now just imagine a 12 or a 15-year-old student trying to make sense of their identity, coping with pressure, juggling social dynamics, and worrying about the future, and all this while trying to learn. It's not an easy task. The first two places a child feels safest is either home or school. What happens if these places, either of them or both of them, fail? Where does that child go? So let's today shift the spotlight on this. We often speak of excellence, outcomes, and performance. So what makes these happen? That's the emotional climate of the environment the child is growing on. The sense of being seen, heard, and valued. Let's face it, we cannot blossom in a storm. Emotional safety isn't a luxury anymore. It's not a soft stuff, it's the essential stuff. And we are not talking about beanbags or mindfulness posters. We are talking about scaffolding mental health, fostering inclusion mindsets, and the radical everyday acts of care and creating true belonging. A teacher once shared with me a story about a quiet student who rarely spoke. And one day that child left a note for the teacher which said, "Thank you for not asking me to speak out aloud. It made me feel safe enough to come back tomorrow." So this was a powerful reminder that emotional safety often speaks in silence. And it's those small intentional moments where we share, where we show the child that they matter and they care. So in a world today marked by polarization, digital overload, identity exploration, social fragmentation, a term that surfaces again and again, and it really had an impact on me, is belonging uncertainty. That lingering question in a student or an educator's mind, do I truly belong here? Learners today are not just navigating curriculum, they're managing identity, as I already said, visibility, and psychological safety. So that's why creating safe spaces isn't about comfort. It's about lifting that invisible burden of belonging uncertainty. So, so that every individual can stop worrying about whether they belong and they can start focusing on how they're going to grow, thrive, and contribute. So today's panel brings together bold, thoughtful school leaders and change makers who will share practical ways to build cultures of care in their communities. So from policy changes to quiet classroom revolutions, you'll hear about how safe spaces can become not just aspirational, but operational. So let's begin with the first speaker, Ms. Resi, who's the head of Cambridge for DPS and Pallavi Group of Schools in Hyderabad. She oversees the operations of the Cambridge schools, and she's a global learner, traveled to many countries, and believes that the world is the best open book for the students. Over to you, Resi.
Good afternoon, all of you. Thank you. Now, I'm not going to give you a big introduction. I'm Resi, a passionate educator. That's it. Is it fine? Fine now? Let us just ask a very blunt question to ourselves. What is the point of a school? We say it is for learning. We say it is to prepare children for future. But I stand here today after 35 plus years of experience in India and in many other countries. In the front lines of the education, I see a system that is often doing exact the opposite. We are not building sanctuaries of learning. We are engineering the factories of anxiety. We are engineering factories of anxiety, and the very foundation of this entire structure, emotional safety, is cracking under the strain, and that's a fact. Let us start with an inconvenient truth. The most single important person in a child's education is a teacher. But who are our teachers? We have a profession filled with brilliant, passionate educators. However, we also have a silent majority who are teachers not by calling, but by circumstances. It was a safe option, a temporary job that became a permanent way of life. Now, picture that teacher. They are underpaid, overworked, and emotionally exhausted. They are handed a pre-packed curriculum and told to deliver it. How can a person who is just surviving create a space where a child can thrive? They can't. I should say, an empty vessel cannot fill another. The result is a classroom built on compliance, not on curiosity, a place where a child's spirit is managed, not nurtured. This is where the damage begins. But this classroom doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is fed by anxieties of the home. Parents with very good intention are preparing their children for a world that no longer exists. They are fighting a losing war for marks and ranks, while their children are fighting a very silent battle for connection. We have parents who obsess over a 98 versus 99% of marks. But we have absolutely no idea what their child's latest emotional and social media feud doing to their self-worth. The parents demand their children put down their phones, of course. But they outsource their own parenting to those very screens. Let us be very clear. Quality time is not managing the homework. It is looking into the eye of the child and ask, how are you? Having the courage to listen to the real answer your child will have to say. When parents fail to provide this emotional anchor, they send a child adrift into a world seeking a validation from likes, shares, and fleeting approval of strangers online. And what does our education system offer to this anxious adrift child? A bigger dose of poison. We are in the era of capsule education, an age where publishers and edtech giants
Thank you, Ms.
have
Resi.
found a lucrative business model
We need to move on.
in selling simplicity. Let me cut short and go straight to the solutions, hopefully. The commodification of education doesn't stop what we do in the classroom. Think about summer holidays. It used to be a sacred 2-month rite of passage for the children to spend their time with the parents. Now, it has died an unnatural death.
Thank you, Ms. Resi. We need to move on. Thank you.
Just 2 minutes. As a solution for the classrooms which is becoming as real coaching centers. Which brings me to a final and the most urgent point. Child who entered a grade 1 this year will graduate into a world of 2040, a world of advanced AI and mass automation, and the problems we cannot even imagine. What's the solution for it? So, the solution is, it's not another technology. It is a radical shift in our priorities. It begins with and ends with creating a genuine emotional safety, and that starts by investing in the well-being of our teachers. An empowered, secure, and passionate teacher is the only antidote
Thank you,
for
Ms.
the
Resi.
factory model of education. If we can start there, I think that's a solution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I now invite Dr. Preeti Oja, Principal of St. M.R. Jaipuria School, Bhiwadi, to address us.
Thank you everyone for staying here with us and ready to listen further. I'm extremely grateful to Mr. Rashid for asking that question. It actually made everybody ask more questions and everybody got energized. We are very happy that you asked that question. Thank you so much, Rashid. This is one of the topics that the minute I received it, I was very happy. And I said, yes, Mr. Ravi, I want to speak about it. And why not? The most important place that anybody wants to grow in is the school. That's the nucleus of the society. And when I see school, I always see the most healthiest with thought, mind, freedom, empathy, energy should be the leader. And I think the leader has to be the most important person in the school to make sure that they are cascading the same energy in the school. From the minute you enter the school, the gate guard also looks at your face and says, are you okay? And if you're not, they may always let you know, can I do something for you? And that is where, when everybody needs to understand that how important the leadership has to take care of their own health and come to such kind of meetings and organized places where they can get those revalidated informations. I feel that a school where I work, we work continuously towards mental health and security. We make sure that each and every person in the school aligns to the vision. a school of choice where the mental health and the well-being is promoted and continuously learned. It's a learning for life. And when we do that, we definitely see how that can be provided in the school campus. I'll go to the basics of how we do it in our school, especially with children and teachers. We make sure that we are approachable. We are everywhere around. The school teachers, leaders, and children moving around are able to reach out to anyone if they want to speak. Nobody is judged and nobody is said anything in front of others. We make sure we have reflections continuously, starting from nursery class in the diaries, where they write about how are they feeling about throughout their month or maybe that week, and they just tick mark on it and they realize what emotion they have tick marked on. They are oriented, they are told how exactly they can reach out to spirituality and connect within themselves with retreats. We make sure that we have educators and learned people coming to our school, looking after the mental health of all the children and the teachers, and do a session for at least 5 days extensively. We make sure that session doesn't end there, but has a thought around it, and we make sure how to analyze what was the best thing we picked up from there. And all this, these things takes a lot of time and consistency. My only question every time to each teacher, whenever we recruit or whenever we do any kind of a work with them is, do you love children? Because if you love children, you will never ever shy away from any work or time. You will do exactly what you need to do for yourself, for your children, parents, and teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Preeti, for some practical strategies which I think we can use in our school. I now invite Dr. R. Meenakshi, who currently serves as a Director, Academics, Curriculum, Research and Development at the Wells Group of Schools, Chennai.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Happy morning and Vanakkam from the Chennai Regiment to all the august audience here. Vanakkam. And looking at the topic and being given just 4 minutes, the topic is mental health, inclusion and belonging. And for the past 2.5 days, we have been speaking about somewhere explicitly and implicitly touching upon these words. When we say on a holistic development of just not a student, even for ourselves who are present here, to feel that my well-being and mental health is at its best now at SKU News, and I belong to this session, and yes, I'm included in this session. How does it happen? For me as an academician and guiding many teachers, I always recall Maslow before Bloom's. They are very close to my heart. And with the changing demands in the education system, we feel that these powerful words are taking different connotations and different meaning. No longer inclusion is just children with special needs. It goes beyond that. You delve deeper into the power of these words, the meaning these words convey, then you will start embracing AI to make the emotions felt by everybody. And now let's see what happens and why I say Maslow is before Bloom's. Yes, Friday goes, Saturday goes, Sunday goes, and Monday comes. Here teacher walks into a class of a new academic session of a 5th grade, and maybe she walks into the class and says, love you all, but it's a blunt lie, because in the heart of hearts, she knows that there is a boy who slumps in the first bench, and she doesn't love that boy to the extent she loves the others, because the boy is shabbily dressed up, and he doesn't even take bath, and sometimes he has to be reminded. He doesn't participate, he doesn't socialize. When the teacher sits to correct with the red pen, and invariably it's an F for a, and the child is never even motivated in the class, and the teacher, there is nothing to be spoken good about the child. And it's time for the teacher, Mrs. Thompson, to recall some of the previous year's portfolio of all the children in the class, grade 5. And she picks up the grade 4, grade 3, grade 2, grade 1. And from grade 1, 2, 3, it says, This boy's name is Teddy Studder, and Teddy has been exceptionally good in his performances. And slowly at the end of the 4th grade, the remark says, we have to have this Teddy now in our fold, because if we don't intervene now, we are going to lose Teddy because he has lost his mother in terminal illness and he needs our care and love, and the father doesn't pay any attention. And then Mrs. Thompson closes everything and she starts crying after 1 hour at the end of the day. And next day again on a Monday, she goes to the class and she says, love you all. Again she is lying because she has started loving Teddy more than others. For anything, she would call up Teddy, and she now knows, yes, and the days go by and it's Christmas time, children bring in the gifts on the table, and she very clearly sees a crushed paper which she feels that should be from Teddy, and when she opens it, it's a half-used perfume bottle and a bracelet from where the rhinestones have been dropped, and when she opens, she calls up Teddy, and Teddy says, yes, Mrs. Thompson, this was the half-used perfume bottle which my mother used before she died, and this was the bracelet that was removed from her before she was put into the coffin. And immediately she wears the bracelet and sprays the perfume, and now Teddy says, yes, you smell my mother now. And this brings in a change in her. Years roll by, and every year she receives a card which says, years go by, days go by, but Mrs. Thompson, you are the best teacher I've ever come across. A time comes when it is time for Teddy with an invitation sent to Mrs. Thompson, and his name is expanded as Dr. Theodore Studder, and she attends the wedding, and she is ushered in by the classmates of Theodore to a place on a chair where it is mentioned mother, and tears roll down, and she is almost retired now, and she is given the privilege of being taken to the chair where it says mother, and she sits there. And then after the wedding, Mrs. Thompson brings his wife and says, meet Mrs. Thompson, but for her, I would not have been Dr. Theodore Studder. But then Teddy says, Mrs. Thompson, but for you, I would not have been what I am. And Mrs. Thompson says, Theodore, you taught me what teaching is. And he says, Teddy says, ma'am, you gave me the space, you had the belief in me, you had the faith in me, and you were the person who gave that confidence in me. And all this happens in Maslow's. I fill up all the basic physiological needs, the safety, security, in so many threats we have these days. We have to overcome all this to get into some kind of belongingness, the recognition, and then realizing our potential to the maximum. If we start thinking it holistically with 3 lenses, one with the physical constraint, one with the cultural emotional constraint, one with the cognitive constraint, there are many strategies available. Because of the want of time, I am just leaving it at this, but then there are ways to reinvent, rededicate ourselves to approach a holistic situation, just not for youngsters or for the adolescents, but for we as individuals. We also come across these deficiencies. We have to have a way paved, as somebody said, you start walking, and there is a way for you to discover your potentials and contribute to the best. And thank you, Mr. Ravi Santlani, for giving me this excellent opportunity. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi, for that beautiful story and for highlighting Maslow's theory. Of course, our emotional needs have to be met before any learning happens. And thank you, School News and Ravi. Yes, we feel belonging. We feel belonged here. We feel safe. We've had a variety of events which you have ensured our mental health also and our well-being also. And we will be coming back again because this place truly fosters belonging. Thank you. And I now invite Mr. Preetham Kumar Agarwal, founder and director of Hello Kids Preschool. He's an entrepreneur and has successfully opened a lot of centers in India and Bangladesh where early childhood space is highlighted. Thank you. Wow. Over 1030 centers. Yeah.
नमस्ते एवरीवन, मैं प्रीतम हूँ और मैं बैंगलोर से हूँ। एक्सपेक्टेशंस, कंपटीशंस, Ignorance is the topic for the day. Expectations, ignorance and competitions. फ्रेंड्स, मुझे शादी करना पड़ा बच्चों को एडमिशन्स के लिए. इससे ज़्यादा मेंटल हेल्थ मेरा सोच सकते हो आप? 24 years when I started my first preschool, एडमिशन्स नहीं हो रहा था और मुझे बच्चे नहीं दे रहे थे बिकॉज आई वॉज नॉट मैरिड विथ किड्स. तो मुझे शादी करना पड़ा. मेरा हाइट को देख के मेरे टीचर ने हमेशा पीछे बिठाया, बैक बेंचर्स. थिंक अबाउट माई मेंटल हेल्थ एज ए स्टूडेंट. कभी पूछा नहीं गया, प्रीतम तुमको समझ में आता है नहीं आता है? एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी ऑल एजुकेटर्स टॉकिंग टुडे. सेम इमोशंस. आई थिंक अच्छा हुआ टीचर ने मेरे से पूछा ही नहीं तेरा मेंटल हेल्थ कैसा है. शायद आज मैं यहाँ नहीं होता. जितने टॉपर्स के मार्क्स होते थे हमारे जैसे 3 पास हो जाते थे उसमें. Trust me, friends. And I'm thankful to my parenting, right? Those who said, मुझे से ऐसे कोई expectations नहीं है. If we really understand that expectations, there is no mental health requirements. वो worry नहीं है आपके पास. Competition नहीं है तो mental health आपका ठीक है. Ignorance है तो ठीक है. Friends, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम दैट प्री स्कूल मुझे लगा कि मैं तो स्टूडेंट था ही नहीं कभी, क्योंकि स्टूडेंट किसको बोला जाता है? वो टॉपर्स को. फ्रेंड्स, द थिंग इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि एज ए स्कूल लीडर हाउ वी आर रियली टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट स्टूडेंट मेंटल हेल्थ. आपके स्कूल के जो बॉटम 50 है ना, वो मुझे दे देना. कभी भी मुझे उनके साथ सेशन करने दो कि दैट बॉटम 50 is how to talk to them and how to understand their mental health. We have to be with them. उसको टॉपिक ही नहीं बनाओ. How to involve with them on an everyday basis. And yesterday's stories in my preschool is very important than any celebration and any topics. शायद मैं ही ऐसा एक लीडर हूँगा मेरे क्लास मुझे स्कूल में. मुझे लगता है कि मुझे करिकुलम सिलेबस नहीं चाहिए. मैं उस चीज़ से थक नहीं रहा हूँ लास्ट 20 years से कि द थिंग इज मेरे पेरेंट्स एक्सपेक्टेशन ऑफ लर्निंग ABCD इज टू हाई, टू एक्सपेक्टेड पेरेंट्स राइट नाउ. बट फॉरगेट अबाउट दैट करिकुलम. Yesterday's stories is my today's topic. Yesterday's story is my today's topic. If I can make my child speak, which I got myself on a stage as a school owner, not as a student. It was not my mistake, it may be my teacher's mistake. If you are able to understand my pain as a student, you will understand your student's pain. And let's think about that. Thank you all. I think I have a very short time to speak. I hope that I will be able to speak more on this as a student. Thank you Ravi for bringing me here. Thank you School News. Namaste.
Thank you, Mr. Preetham. I really liked when you said yesterday's story is today's topic. How many of us are aware of what's happening and we bring that topic into a classroom for conversations? It's so important for us to connect children to the real life stories around them. I now invite Mr. Pawan Vashisht, Principal of Birla Shishu Vihar, Pilani, who has over 3 decades of experience in school education.
Thank you, Rima. The topic for this is mental health, inclusion and belonging. This morning I saw the message of Ravi for the speakers to be specific, less time, crisp and focus. So I'm coming on that, and certainly the mental health, inclusion and belonging. We all understand that mental health is very important and it must be taken care of. Now when we talk about the inclusion and belonging, so I guess all of us, as far as the inclusion concern, we are doing it in our schools. But the issue is that it is limited to our school itself. As my previous Mr. Preetham was mentioning about, the real example was displayed yesterday during inauguration session by Mr. Ravi Santhalani, that how the inclusion can take place. And that is what we have to learn. Then belongingness, inclusivity, we all understand that when all the resources and the rights, powers are equally divided and can be shared with, and an individual can be taken care of, then certainly we are practicing inclusiveness. Now one has to bring it from heart. This is not something which is written in the books or some act which has to be done or some strategy that I have done this, so now I have become the inclusive school. No, it's a practice, it's a part of the life, or we can say it's a personality trait and the attributes. A school is the place where we dwell and develop the personality traits and the attributes of the child. We must focus on those things. We must look into this, that how the curriculum or the activity can be designed where the students can practice it, can be synthesized by getting into that process and can grow and can lead the society, in the community and in the region. So, how does it help? Reducing a stigma, access to care, culturally sensitive. That's what. Yesterday, Ravi, I would like to mention, we are really touched by inviting those underprivileged students on a stage of SQ News, where you have the option to invite the best school of the Jaipur on SQ News stage for the inauguration. Well done. So this is how we have to practice, and we need to just think how do we have to remodule our activities, to whom we have to give the preference and how they will feel about it. Open for the conversations. Lot is being talked about, to give the time to listen the children what they want to speak. And especially the underprivileged ones or the special children needs to say more or convey to more. Once again, it was displayed when the group of girls who were dancing here and we were clapping and they were unable to listen that. So the signal was given so that it can be conveyed. So open conversation, these are the 4 things. If we do in our daily practice, certainly we are practicing inclusiveness. Now let's come to the belonging. Now belonging is certainly very important for the mental health. It is an expression which promotes, which keeps safe mental health. Thank you. So linked with the physical health and well-being, emotional experience, social connections, trust and safety, creating supportive communities. And the key concept of the belonging, we can say the 4 things, which is connection, inclusion, support, and autonomy. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for reminding us that creating safe spaces is a daily commitment. It's not a one-off thing. I hope I have been able to generate some curiosity by bringing these toys here. I saved it for the end, so I'm just going to share 2 practical strategies from my school, and I hope they will be good takeaways for you. These are called Kimochi characters, and I'm going to take a cue from Sangeeta that you can Google about them. Kimochi in Japanese means feeling. And we use these characters for the early years because we firmly believe, and I'm sure all of you agree with me, that self-regulation and managing emotions is very, very important. It's very important to teach the early learners, because that will lay the foundation for resilience and academic success ahead. So these characters come with a lot of feeling pillows, and the internet gives you all stories and a full-fledged curriculum how to use them in a class, and I can say that it's been over a year and they've wonderfully, the teachers and the parents are saying they have seen a lot of difference. I talked about belonging uncertainty, which I said a term which really resonated with me, and how to address that. We did an audit with the student, a student-led audit was done. We asked them which are the places in the school where they feel this belonging, they don't belong. So much data came out, like corridors or even seating arrangements in the class, or the language, language used by students and teachers. And that data was very useful for us, and we could address a lot of issues. So that was an opportunity to bring in student voice to reduce belonging uncertainty. And we also then took it to the teachers. You know, every year we begin with new teachers in the beginning, 10, 15 new teachers. It's very important to do a check after a month. How do they feel do they feel they're part of the community already? What more we can do to help them settle so that they belong to that school community. So that was from me. Thank you everybody for your valuable insights, and I think we can open the floor to the audience now.
Just to respond to you, sir, I just wanted to share this, that since yesterday, we have collected over 16 lakh rupees, which people have donated to those children who came to perform. So I think the only messaging that I want to give here is that all it takes is a thought, that such a big platform where there are 500 plus school leaders coming in, where one school leader has 1,000 schools. Mr. Vel Murugan sitting here, I mean, in the audience, he has 1 lakh students and 14,000 teachers. We have Vellum Boys Principal, very influential people. All it takes is the first person. I would really want to, I don't know if Colonel Satya Rao is sitting here. He was the first person, while they were performing, he sent me a note that, Ravi, from our group, we would want to donate 1 lakh rupees to these group of students. Laksharaj ji, when that visually impaired girl, she read out his profile and the messaging to introduce him through Braille, he said, Ravi, I'm so touched. I mean, can I do something while they were playing music, the deaf and mute? So he also said, and he's also donated some, I don't know, very expensive music set for them. So I think, this, all it takes is a small thought, sir, I mean, that in such a platform, I mean, if we give 10 minutes to someone, I mean, it only took 10 minutes to raise 16 lakh. I'm pretty sure there are many people who are going to email us later if you're able to raise 25 lakh rupees for these people, where money doesn't come to us. We only connect you. We are a platform where we connect you with them. You pay directly to these people and kind of, do that. So I think it requires a lot of thought for schools here as well. Give some space, even if 5 minutes, for your local special schools to kind of come and perform, because your parents are also very influential and it can solve a problem, in a jiffy. So that's, just wanted to add to what you said, sir. We'll open the floor if we have time, Shreya. How many? Yeah, 5 minutes we have. So, anyone? There are a few. Kanan, come here, idhar aa jaao. He danced so much last night, this floor got cracked here.
Check. Hi. So I'm Kanan, I'm a psychiatrist and I work with schools. So just one observation I found, a lot of principals have a huge burnout today, especially if you have CBSE principals. They keep sending circular after circular and their heart rate goes up. And their sleep goes off. And if the circular is not answered, for that another circular comes. And the new circular of CCTV in the classroom. Every room has CCTV. When I got married, my mother put CCTV in the drawing room, dining room, except bedroom. So I couldn't hug my wife in the drawing room. She will look at the CCTV and say, your mother is watching it. So I want to ask all of y'all, in this era of CCTV, I know so many principals, very lovely people, but they are forced to listen to what classroom is happening. If the teacher takes a break, immediately call goes, why is the teacher gone out of the class? Children are fighting. And that one thing is a question I would like all of you to know, how we could work and principals can become efficient. Second, there is only one place where there is no CCTV, which is the toilet. And recently we had a school where a boy hit another boy and the hit boy actually committed suicide in Chennai. It happened in the toilet. So how do we build an inclusive mental health from all of you all that can actually resonate with every stakeholder? That's my question.
Thank you so much. I think it's an excellent question, because it does matter how you showcase and orient your parents, teachers and children when you put a camera. Putting a gadget in a room will definitely create a vulnerability. But the minute you let them know it's for the safety, it's for us to help them, it is for the need of the hour, it is also supposed to be transparently told to them that it's an order. And it is not something that we are doing to keep an eye on you throughout the day and to let you know that what are you doing wrong. You're doing something good, you're playing, but in case anything happens, there should be some kind of way of finding how to resolve it. If this kind of a thought goes inside the mind of the parents, teachers and children, it makes a lot of difference. It's only how you make them perceive what exactly and what your intent is. If that perception isn't there, it can go absolutely wrong. It can be taken as where that data goes, like we were having a talk, where does this data go? This data doesn't go anywhere. This data is just to make everybody feel safe. And this is also something that the government has done, because they also felt that several cases which have come, how does a teacher let the principal or the parent know that it was a simple accident? How does she make herself feel safe with all those children in the class and the parents outside, that she's connected with children and learning will have some or the other thing happening in the class? And they are children. They are not supposed to be punished, or it's not a jail. So it is a place where reformation can take place when you get to know where exactly the problem is. I think that's the first question.
I think, Rima ma'am, we have
Thank
a
you.
space for one more question.
Okay.
Yeah, if we could possibly have a question asked in under 30 seconds and answered in under 45 seconds. Yeah? So, of course.
Well, since we are talking about security, what do you feel about facial recognition cameras? They are available now. Should the schools put them? My answer is no.
So the question asked and answer is given.
Thank you for answering it also.
Yeah, one quick question, and let me remind you, we have the grand revision after we come back from the workshop where Colonel Sekhar is there, so you know everyone will get a chance to speak because we have reserved 30 minutes for that. So Banu sir, you would want to, and that's the last question, and we head for lunch.
Mental health among children, as Mr. Preetham said, have no expectation. So my question before I frame it, I used to be sad because I had no shoes. Until that day I met a man on the street who had no feet and he was happy. So how much time the school should give to sensitize children to go and visit these underprivileged, so that the basic aim that we are producing good, sensitive, productive citizens who are happy, motivated, inspired to give back to the society. We usually don't have this sort of a thing, you know, where the children going to the school should feel elated, happy, so that they do not have any stress and high motivation come.
While Sangeeta ma'am and
Yes.
Preeti ask a question which would be under 20 seconds, I and Prabha are climbing on the stage for felicitations. Yeah? You ask first.
So, sir, the question which has been raised by you, that how much time should we give to such activities? Now, every school is having basically on a day in a week, considering as a co-curricular activity with the club activities and all, where the children are going to the community services and all. I really do not know how much it is helpful. What I'm trying to say that the middle school, till middle school, when the habits are being developed, now a school must do such practices so that students, as you mentioned about that feeling they should develop in themselves, caring. And the other question which Kannan was asking in the last time, that is the trust. Building of the trust only is the solution which can help us to create the safe spaces or for the mental health. And it is again, as in the last session, Mr. Vel Murugan was mentioning about go to the basics. We are more into like putting CCTV camera in this, and even I am against that. There is a space for the teacher and the students which should not be encroached. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you so much.
Because the principal's word is no longer the last word. They don't trust what we say, they want to see the recording.
I have a question on inclusion. Almost all the speakers spoke about inclusion of the students. What about inclusion within the teams that we are creating?
I said,
Yes.
And what about the LGBTQ community? Are the principals, heads of schools here comfortable with that?
Yes.
And this is a question I leave open.
Conversations have started. In fact, been there with the educators to understand this concept. We have gender neutral toilets, which we've realized the need since last year. And absolutely, we all have to be open-minded, so it is the school leaders, role to ensure that the team comes on board with these concepts. And as I talked about belonging uncertainty, I've meant even for the educators also, they also need to start belonging to the organization as soon as they can. We need to put in a lot of strategies for them. Yes, Sangeeta.
No, I just
want to add here that recently we started having leadership trainings in Seth MR Jaipuria, and the first training that we went through was that as leaders, start accepting any gender. Please start accepting LGBTQA+, whatever comes in line. Acceptance is important because that doesn't come by saying on the form. It is going to be discovered in the school. And the first discovery is with the child, and only one person they can talk to is someone who they can trust. And if that trust building, like Sir rightly said, if it is with the teacher and the counselor, it becomes easier for the child or even for an adult to let the family know. And I think we are working very hard towards social emotional learning and acceptance. And that's how we all can do with our teams.
No, I just, Sir asked about, how many of our children are going to schools for the special needs children and all, and inclusion, of course, of. I feel that children don't need to be made happy because somebody else is sad. I think you have to dig deeper into the happiness of the children. You can't say, oh, you're so privileged, look at that. Look at that kid. I think you have to teach the children to be happy in themselves and in what they have rather than, and that happened to me recently because when I told my son's 32 and he's working and he was cribbing, I go at 8 and come back at 1 at night. And I told him, I said, there are people who'd give their right arm to be in your place. He says, Mom, for how long are you going to keep telling me to be happy for what I have, which somebody else doesn't have? He says, I have to be happy with myself first and then look at somebody else and then be happy. I think that's a very negative way of looking at happiness. I think so.
Ravi, one suggestion, can we have parents also in this audience because they need to hear all these values start from home. Everything is being outsourced to school.
Ravi,
everything is outsourced to schools, building all values and building character.
Ravi, if I could get 10 seconds. 10 seconds? Yeah, okay. So talking about inclusion from personal experience, I've had 2 students in my school who have dwarfism, and I feel that no special classes and no special talk with the kids ever happened. If you let things happen organically, it just becomes the culture of the school, and kids are actually very kind and very inclusive in their thought. They get colored by our stereotypes and our misconceptions.